good things to life.
Evening. Thanks for joining us. You're watching PM Ghana here on Adoatv television with your most humble servant. My name is Reggie Adi, and tonight we'll be speaking on issues that has been making waves. Today we'll go a bit social, move away from the governance aspect of PM Ghana to looking at the social aspect. And tonight we'll be taking a diverse view about the LGBTQI plus society in Ghana. Well, the Criminal Offences Act 1960, also known as Act 29, outlines a number of criminal offences and persecutions, as well as describing punishments that are available for some of these offenses. Now, a number of crimes were highlighted in the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29. And some of these criminal acts are rape, defilement of a child under 16 years of age, carnal knowledge, indecent assault, unnatural carnal knowledge, incest, household permitting defilement of a child, and seduction or prostitution of a child under 16 years. But for the purpose of our discussions today, we'll be focusing on carnal knowledge or on natural carnal knowledge. You would ask, why are we speaking about this? Well, this has a lot and so much to do with the LGBTQI society. Now, many acronyms describes this group. Now, I believe that you know exactly what I am talking about. I'm talking about the group that has its basic name as LGBT. That is the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. Well, be giving you more details. I'll give you these definitions for the purpose of our discussion tonight about some of these sects that make up the society. Well, the show is probably brought to you by Blue City Tires and Migo Purified Water. This is PM Ghana. We're discussing this with a Reverend Minister, a legal practitioner, and the Deputy Director for the LGBTQ Rights Society in Ghana. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this turn.
John, Ufini new. Wow, Edi Wabwejuma. I check Ufina, or you fell one cassa from Asate. Oh, na Simon, roofing is a baby bray, nice keke. Why the catcher? Asate roofing sheet dear, and your nice keke, with the bodan swa a chee and rina chain. They want a calisa who drove a fair be bray. No new free roofing sheet, no dear. Who near that will be out. Now, so the bodan swa, a year supampe. What means which Roman send your open roofing sheet to you try the salmon pepe. Mama poor Asate money there. One of my technical advice na estimate free or professional installers so where your on-site installation ni boss crowd da pa. Oh yes, quality and with da feminine Asatec 5 days pay na musa kan order na we year after sales service proper binso hwehwe Asatec Watema Community 2 Meridian Road e Benkoko Board Warehouse Western Region. So Asatec Watakrade Anaji yene Princeland Hotel and di hwene mu and na Volta Region yewo Akachi South District Assembly kwan so ha.
Blue City is a manufacturer and supplier of high-quality fashion accessories. We design and make quality bow ties, flying ties, lapel pins, ladies' brooches, fabric necklaces, African wares, and so much more for your weddings, schools, institutions, bands, choir, singing groups, individuals, and so many more. We use both African prints and foreign fabrics to make your beautiful accessories for you. Oh yeah! Contact us via call or WhatsApp or SMS on 0240 926 564. Locate us at Adoatv Official Town opposite Emils Preparatory School. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Blue City Fashion. Blue City, creativity and style.
Supa na wanya pomuden se wo benum nso a hwehunu se eye mega purified mineral water eye nso a yetu ni baby pa asaso ne so se kroje se wonya mega purified mineral water bogu ubu a wo see you manum supa mega mineral water de edanso esa say the modern technology so na aye ede na nkabia ne atri mega purified mineral water bacteria na mhen wa bewrem eye very hygienic obia di wadanse mega mineral water neatly packaged with 500 ml bottles mu na wani bosua na wo donsio wo benya mega purified mineral water to bebia to phone ko dodo wa amount 40 per junction and now for 050 7055 409 and now 055 392 1088 mega purified mineral water akona kono.
John, ufi ni wow, Adoatv, edi wabwejuma. I check ufi na oye fe wankasa from Adoatv. Oh, na same roofing sheets aba bebre nice keke. Why na catch you? Adoatv roofing sheet die, enye nice keke o. With the board so eche yie, enwe na che. Na won colors ahodo fe bebre. No mu free roofing sheet no die. Who nya that wa bia o. Na so the board so a ejire so pampe. Utumi so kire mo se ne ope roofing sheet no. Ni twa de sama pepepe. Mama po Adoatv money there. One ma technical advice na estimate free or professional installers nso a your on-site installation ne bo so kra da fom pa. Oh yes, quality ne bo da feminine. Adoatv 5 days pay na won sa kan order na wo ye after sales service proper bin so. Hwehwe Adoatv Watema Community 2 Meridian Road Ebenkoko Board Warehouse Western Region. So Adoatv Takrade Anaji ye ne Princeland Hotel and di hwene mu and na Volta Region ye wo Akachi South District Assembly kwan so ha.
Blue City is a manufacturer and supplier of high-quality fashion accessories. We design and make quality bow ties, flying ties, lapel pins, ladies' brooches, fabric necklaces, African wares, and so much more for your weddings, schools, institutions, bands, choir, singing groups, individuals, and so many more. We use both African prints and foreign fabrics to make your beautiful accessories for you. Oh yeah! Contact us via call or WhatsApp or SMS on 0240 926 564. Locate us at Adoatv Official Town opposite Emils Preparatory School. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Blue City Fashion. Blue City, creativity and style.
Numun super na wanya pomuden. Se wo benum nso a, hwe hu ni se eye Migo purified mineral water. Eye nso a yetu ni baby pa. Asaso ni so se kroje. Se wonya Migo purified mineral water bogu ubu a, wo see you manum super. Migo mineral water de edanso. Esan say the modern technology so na ye. Ede ne nkabia ni atri. Migo purified mineral water. Bacteria na mhen wa berem. Eye very hygienic. Obia di one dance here. Migo mineral water neatly packaged for 500 ml bottles mu. Na wani boswa na ukon donsio. Wobanya Migo purified mineral water to bebia. To phone call dodo wa amount 40 per junction. Ana fre 050 7055 409 ana 055 392 1088. Migo purified mineral water. Akona kono.
John, ufini nyo. Wow, Adoatv, Eddie, wabwejuma. I check roofing now. Oh, you fell one kasa from Adoatv. Oh, na same roofing sheets up baby bre nice keke. Why the catcher? Adoatv roofing sheet there. And nice keke. With the bodan swa a cheye and rina check. They want to call us a hood of a fair be bre. No money free roofing sheet no dear. Who hear that will be out. Now so the bodan swa a zero supampe. What means to trauma send your open roofing sheet no. You try the summer pepe. Mama po Adoatv money there. One of my technical advice na estimate free or professional installers so aware your on-site installation. Ni boss kura da pa. Oh yes, quality ni bo da feminine. Adoatv 5 days pay na unsa kan order na we year after sales service proper bin so. Hwehwe Adoatv Watema Community 2, Meridian Road, Ebenkoko Board Warehouse, Western Region so Adoatv Takrade Anaji, Yeni Princeland Hotel and di hwene mu. And na Volta Region yawo Akachi South District Assembly kwan so ha.
Announcements on Adoatv. Contact Adoatv for your general announcements, proclamations and publications, job vacancies, etc. at a very affordable rate. Call 050-92-57754, 020-9494-258, or visit our marketing desk at Step Work premises. Adoatv, bringing good things to life.
Ago, good people of Ghana. Here are some safety measures on prevention of coronavirus. 1. Cover your mouth with tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose of tissue into a bin immediately you cough into it, and wash your hands with soap and the running water. Avoid shaking hands and use sanitizers as often as you can. Signs and symptoms of coronavirus include fever, cough, sneezing, and difficulty in breathing. Should you experience any of these, or for more inquiries, please contact 0558 439 868. That's 0558 439 868, or call 0509 497 700. That's 0509 497 700.
Remember to always wash your hands with soap and the running water.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service, and partners.
Blue City is a manufacturer and supplier of high-quality fashion accessories. We design and make quality bow ties, flying ties, lapel pins, ladies' brooches, fabric necklaces, African wares, and so much more for your weddings, schools, institutions, bands, choir, singing groups, individuals, and so many more. We use both African prints and foreign fabrics to make your beautiful accessories for you. Oh yeah! Contact us via call or WhatsApp or SMS on 0240 926 564. Locate us at Odoko Official Town opposite Emils Preparatory School. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Blue City Fashion. Blue City, creativity and style.
numu supa na wanya apomuden se wo be numu nsu a hwe hu ni se eye migo purified mineral water eye nsu a yetu ni baby pa asaso ni so se kroje se wonya migo purified mineral water bogu ubu a wo see you manumu nsupa migo mineral water de edanso esan say the modern technology so na ye ede ne nkabia ni atri migo purified mineral water bacteria na mhenu aberem eye very hygienic obia di wadanse migo mineral water neatly packaged with 500 ml bottles mu na wani bosua na wo donsio wo benya migo purified mineral water to bebia to phone call dodo wa amount 40 per junction and now for 050 7055 409 and now 055 392 1088 migo purified mineral water akona kono.
Thank you for staying with us. You're definitely watching PM Ghana on your favorite television station, Adoatv, with your most humble servant, Reginald Addies, and then you can call me Reggie Addy. Well, Educated today will be speaking on this very LGBTQ matter. Now, I was about giving you a few highlights about some of the definitions for these groups. Now, this would help us in our understanding of what we're going to deal with tonight. In time, we'll be speaking to Reverend Emmanuel Bariga. We'll also be speaking to a lawyer, human rights activist, Ms. Amanda Akwoko Clinton, as well as Mr. Richard Fisher, who is the deputy director for the LGBTQ rights Ghana. Well, so what are we talking about when we say LGBT? So that's the basics of how the society is called LGBT, and it consists of 1, lesbians, 2, gay, 3, bisexual, and 4, transgender persons. Now, I believe that you know who a lesbian, or what a lesbian is. Now, it's a term that refers to a woman who is sexually or emotionally attracted to other women. Sexually or emotionally attracted to other women. Now, a gay is a term referring to a man who is sexually or emotionally attracted to other men. So a gay is just in the masculine form for a lesbian. Now, bisexual is a term that refers to someone who is sexually or emotionally attracted to more than one gender. So perhaps a person, an individual who is attracted to both males and females as both male and female gender. Well, so we'll be speaking to Reverend Emmanuel Bariga. He is the president for the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. Good evening, Reverend.
Good evening.
Reverend, how are you doing?
Hello.
Reverend, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. By the grace of God, I'm doing well.
Very well.
Yes, I am not the president of the council. I am the general secretary.
Very well. Very well. Thank you for that correction. So, he's the general secretary for the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. So, Reverend, I believe that you've heard waves of the upsurge of the LGBTQ society. Now, we want to look at this from a moral aspect, and in morals, we're talking about the religious aspect. What does the Bible say about persons, or perhaps persons who find themselves in this group, the LGBT group?
Well, first of all, this behavior, this LGBTQ behavior, is contrary to nature. It's contrary to the natural law that God himself established from the beginning. you remember that when God created the world, at the climax of his creation, he created man. And upon the creation of man, he created a woman and gave them the commission to multiply and fill the earth and replenish it. So, in God's plan and purpose for mankind, he wants men to get together with women to carry on, his purpose on the earth. So, anything that is contrary to it is against the laws of God. And moving on to the other bit, we remember whom God punished very severely for this kind of homosexual activity. And at the time of visiting the punishment on them, the Lord said that he had heard of the perverseness of the people of that nation. And he has come down himself to be an eyewitness to come here. He has said, well, of course, we know that God is omnipresent, is omniscient, and is omnipotent. So that did not mean that God was not sure what was happening there. He was sure of what was happening there. Yeah. But he became an eyewitness to that kind of behavior. And you know the consequences of what God said upon them. God caused fire to rain from heaven and burnt the whole city of Sodom and Gomorrah because of their deviant behavior. And moving on into the New Testament, we read about St. Paul that against homosexuality. If you read Romans chapter 1, you find him making references to natural human relationships, sexual relationships. And then the other portion, he talks about sexual immorality. And when he talks about sexual immorality, he's not only talking about fornication, he's also talking about all other deviant sexual behavior, like lesbianism, gayism, bestiality, and incest, and all that is included in what he names as sexual immorality. So the Bible is on it that this is not how God himself said it to be from the beginning, and he did not at any point in time sanction it to be the way of behavior for people.
Well, Reverend, now you speak about natural law established by God. That is what you said. That is a natural sexual law established by God. One would seek to ask, apart from the definition of unnatural sexual intercourse that involves a male genitalia and a woman's genitalia, what other things conform to unnatural carnal knowledge? Incest is, yes, obvious, but what other things constitute unnatural carnal knowledge?
Bestiality, for instance, bestiality
Very well.
is a sexual relationship between a human being and an animal. That also answers to the question of unnatural carnal knowledge.
Perhaps.
We recently, well, I don't know, I don't have a name for recently, we have heard people say some men have fallen in love with trees.
With what?
So they have gone ahead to place holes in trees, and when they have the urge for sex, they go and insert their mouth into the hole that they have created and satisfy themselves.
In trees?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, should we say that the basic definition per the Bible, that is, as God created man and woman for procreation, as when a man inserts his genitalia into a woman's genitalia for that purpose? Is that what defines natural sexual intercourse?
Yes, I mean, the natural sexual intercourse is one between people of the opposite sex, not the same sex. People of the opposite sex. So
now, Reverend, this definition is quite controversial, because now people are saying that the intercourse, or perhaps the sexual act of that is oral sex, is not targeted at procreation, and as such cannot be natural. Yet it is between man and woman. What is the stance of the of Christianity on oral sex?
On oral sex?
Yes, Reverend.
Well, even though there is clear biblical teaching on that, you know, there are certain things which are decent behavior. There are certain things which frown on the natural organ that God has created. God created the sex organs for the purpose of using it for sex. And there are other organs on the body which are created for specific purposes. The mouth, excuse me to say, has not been designed for sexual purposes. So, if we use for such purposes, I don't think it is in keeping with the laws of God. I know many Christians have different views about this matter. So the position I'm taking now is my personal position as a Christian.
Okay.
And as a minister of the
okay.
That is my personal position. It is not the position of the council of the general secretary. It is my personal position as a Christian.
All right.
And as a minister of the gospel.
All right. Well, disclaimer well acknowledged. And so, where does the Christian Pentecostal and Charismatic Council stand far as LGBT society is concerned? Reverend, you seem to be breaking. You seem to be breaking off. If you can reposition yourself.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that for us, the LGBTI issue is a no matter. First of all, the laws of our it is against the laws of our land. The unnatural carnal knowledge is a law that is in this land which frowns on homosexuality. Our religious values. You know, Ghana is a very religious country. We have a huge percentage of Christians, some percentage of Muslims, and some percentage of traditional religious worshippers. All these people do not subscribe to this LGBTQI issue. You know, we have customs as a nation, we have values, we have traditions, and all this, and our norms as well, and all this frown on LGBTQI. So our position is very clear that it is a no matter as far as Ghana is concerned. The bottom line is that the laws of our nation do not accept it, not frown on it.
All right.
So once the laws are against it, issue that should be considered and thought to be brought into the nation.
So, Reverend, the advocates for the LGBT society are advocating that the laws should be duly amended to acknowledge their society, because they're human beings, because they're Ghanaians, and because also that these laws behoves on them. I am not saying for certain, but should in case the laws are amended to infuse these into the society, what would be the position? Is it because the laws of the country do not accept it, or it is because the laws of the Christian religion does not accept it?
I'm sorry. What I have said, in addition to the fact that the laws of the nation do not accept it, as a people, our cultural values, our norms, and our religious values also do not accept it. As Christians, we know the consequences of such deviant behavior and the consequences that it can bring upon the nation. So all these are grounds upon which we stand to say that this LGBTQ it's a no for us as a nation.
Well,
so it's not only because of the laws that found on it, but because of other things also which are eliminated.
Okay, so there is an argument that the stance of Christian councils against the LGBT society is not right. That is what some section of the public is saying. Now they're saying this because they say that it is in the Bible that Christ came for the unjust. And so if the Christian councils feel that these persons are unjust, why do they neglect them?
Now, on the contrary, we have not neglected them. Even though we frown on their deviant behavior, we love them as human beings. We love them as creatures of God.
I see.
So, I am aware, I know that some Christian organizations are working among the gays and lesbians. They have offered, services to them to help them get out of the situation in which they find themselves. Some of them have been given counseling. The Ghana Psychological Council has been involved in some of these issues. They have helped. They have given us personnel who have helped to counsel some of these people out of that behavior. As Christians, we also know that some may have demonic connotation, and we, help them through prayers and so that they can be delivered of what they are possessed of. So it is not the case that we hate the persons who are engaged in this. It is their behavior which we abhor and which we are ready and willing to help them to come out of. They are also willing to do that.
Well, Reverend, I'll let you go, but before you go, would you say that formerly, people used to do such practices in hiding? Now they have it in the public. They have offices. They are advocating. They appear on TV. They even have some prominent people. They say they recruit even more prominent people into the society. Would you say that this is as a result of the negligence on the side of Christianity?
Oh, not at all. Over the years, we have, responded to the Great Commission of going to make disciples of all nations. We have preached the gospel all over the place. And somehow, some people have accepted it. Some people are still, they are still standing in their own position of not accepting the gospel. I don't think it is a failure on the part of the church at all. But for the church, it should have been worse.
I see.
It should have been worse. But for the church, but for the intervention of the church, it should have been worse.
Right.
We have acted as gatekeepers of this nation, and we have played our role where the need arises, and we continue to play our role all the time. And I believe that, but for the Christian effort, it should have been worse than we are.
Very well. Well, Reverend, thank you very much for speaking to us on this note this evening. We are grateful for your time, Reverend.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. So that was Reverend Emmanuel Bariga. He's the General Secretary for the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. He shared his views on the LGBT. He quoted some aspects of the Bible from Romans and he says that the Christian council or the sect, the Christian sect, for the Christian sect, it is a no. For the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, LGBTQ is a no. As for those of you who think that this is as a result of the failure of the church, well, Reverend says that for the church, I mean, save for the church, this situation would have been worse. Perhaps we would have seen an even greater number of LGBT persons in the country. He says that the church has not neglected these people, but that they regard them as human beings. They are regarded as human beings by the church. The church loves them, and that the church would rather implore to them and find out why some of them are into such practices, find out what constitutes their behavior. And he says that some of them maybe have some demonic underlying factors, and for such people they need prayers to help them out of that act. Now, all of this act has become a problem only because of the association of sexual acts or sexual intercourse. Now, when you look at the behavior of persons in LGBTQ, the only thing that makes them different from other persons who are not part of the society is about the sexual preferences, sexual acts. Now, this brings to mind what is called unnatural carnal knowledge, which is associated with this society, the LGBT society. So like I told you before, the LGBT society, as the name suggests, it has been there, I mean, from time immemorial. And when you go into our history in Ghana, you realize that some groups or some ethnic groups practiced homosexuality to some extent. And later on in the show, I give you details about some of these ethnic groups or tribes. However, let's go back into law. Let's come back into law. Now, the Criminal Offences Act, that is under Section 104, subsection 2, that is also the Act 29. It says that unnatural carnal knowledge is defined as intercourse with a person in an unnatural manner. So the unnatural is repeated here again. Unnatural carnal knowledge, unnatural manner, or with an animal, which is also called bestiality. Now, in this context, listen very well. The absence of the meaning of having sex with a person in an unnatural manner leaves room for what we call judicial interpretation, an incomplete judicial interpretation of the offense. Now, I'm saying this because out of the 30 times that carnal knowledge has been mentioned in the Criminal Offences Act, there is no specific definition apart from this. Apart from the fact that it is a definition of sexual intercourse with a person in an unnatural manner or with an animal, there is no other definition. And so, one would ask, to what extent is carnal knowledge unnatural? So, Reverend Emmanuel Barriga spoke to us. He told us that unnatural carnal knowledge is carnal knowledge that is not meant for procreation or not meant as described by the Bible. We will still try to find out how best the Bible describes carnal knowledge. But in the meantime, we are trying to get who is on the line? Lisa. Okay, so we're trying to get Madam Amand Clinton. She is a human rights lawyer. I hear she's on the line already. Hello, good evening, lawyer.
Good evening.
Madam Clinton, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Hope you are too.
Well, can't complain. I'm doing well. And so tonight we're discussing the LGBT society. And one thing that makes the persons of the society different from others who are not is the concept of sexuality and their practice of sexual intercourse. Now, there is a debate about what natural carnal knowledge and what unnatural carnal knowledge is, and how this is linked directly to persons of the society. Now, in section 104, subsection 2, unnatural carnal knowledge is defined as sexual intercourse with a person in an unnatural manner or with an animal. With an animal, that is clearly stated. But in an unnatural manner, I want to ask you, Madam Clinton, what does the law say, and how does the law define natural and or unnatural carnal knowledge?
Okay. Well, I think unnatural carnal knowledge is penile penetration of anything other than the vagina, if I could be so, crude in terms of just saying that out there.
Sure.
And so basically, if a man engaged in a sexual act with another man, he will be guilty under Section 104(1) of the Criminal Offences Act, and may suffer the maximum penalty of 3 years in jail.
Yeah.
As I think a few years ago we saw in a particular doctor's case, he's serving 25 years for sodomizing a 16-year-old. But so apart from looking at the definition of unnatural carnal knowledge under Ghanaian law, I think it's also important to define civil rights.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, sure. We're definitely going to go there. So it's better you define it for a clear understanding.
Yeah. So civil rights is really important for democracy. Like right to vote, right to government services, right to free assembly, etc., which is guaranteed in Ghana. But, for LGBT community, it's not as guaranteed as we've seen with the closing down of this office. Within the law, the Ghanaian government has done what it's done. But we also have to look at the evolution of civil rights in different countries. You know what I mean? At one point, blacks had to drink from a different fountain in South Africa and in America. And, women couldn't vote, etc., etc. I mean, it was just seen as alien at that time. And as time progressed, it's just that, well, whatever you do in your bedroom, you still have the right to assemble and the right to free speech and the right to express yourself, irrelevant of, whether you're male or female. And so it's very interesting that Ghana's having this conversation now, particularly with LGBT rights. And, a personal view of this is that it seems that there's so many people who might be gay, etc., in society, and who are hiding it and marrying people and living a lie and perhaps having a double life, etc. So the introduction of things like this office is not to, as they say, corrupt society. It is for people to have a place to go because maybe they're not even gay. And if they go to this office, they'll discover, well, actually, you're not even gay. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But if we don't start being a bit more open, particularly if someone is a different way inclined, what happens is it hides. The person marries and then goes and have a double life and then maybe bring diseases home or whatever and it's just a lie within a lie. Right. So perhaps Ghana does also have to have that conversation. Would we prefer people pretend or would we prefer that they have a platform to talk and to, express themselves and be who they are so they don't affect other people?
Well, and so you speak about issues of human rights, and well, when you come into the Ghana Constitution, the Criminal Offences Act, it seems there is no side for these persons. There is also the controversy about which sex in the LGBT society the law frowns upon. Because as far as the law describes unnatural sexual carnal knowledge, unnatural carnal knowledge as you know, the insertion of the male genital organ into anything other than a woman's genital organ, then perhaps what behoves of those who find themselves as lesbians in the entire sect, those who find themselves as transgender, who may also be infringed upon, inasmuch as the Constitution says that nobody shall be infringed on irrespective of their gender.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly it. The law doesn't actually affect lesbians or transgenders. It rather affects,
gay persons, right?
From a man,
right?
But I also think that Section 12(2) of Ghana's '92 Constitution says that every person in Ghana, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, religion, creed, or gender, shall be entitled to fundamental human rights and freedom. And so, if anybody feels they've been discriminated against, they're covered under Section 12(2) of the '92 Constitution. But, it's also interesting having this conversation because an office is an office. Nobody is suggesting that anybody is having a natural carnal knowledge within that office. Do you see what I mean?
Very well.
It is a place perhaps for people to go to if they need to discuss, what exactly their status is. Maybe they need financial support, maybe they need other sorts of support, etc. But I think it's very good Ghana's having this conversation, and I don't think it's good for people to impose their opinions on others. But as this conversation evolves, perhaps society will agree on something in future.
Very well. Well, so looking at how the law or perhaps the public seems to be handling, for instance, the close down of the offices. Now, let's also cast our minds back. There's a society that has faced a lot of physical abuse by some persons of higher authority, even the police. Would you say that there are some inadequacies in our laws, especially for us lesbians, transgender, as concerned?
Could you repeat that?
Would you say that there are some inadequacies in our laws far as lesbians, transgender is concerned?
Not really, because, it's an evolving area in terms of, Section 12(2), as I just said, does, the Constitution does guarantee, freedom from discrimination. So somebody could apply under that, for instance. And civil rights has always gone through movement.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is perhaps, who knows, maybe we're at the cusp of the LGBT movement in Ghana. Because civil rights essentially is just equal social opportunities and protection, regardless of race, religion, or other personal characteristics. And so if this is the beginning of the LGBT movement where they're asserting their rights, we will see that evolve. But I do also think that perhaps it's a bit too basic to just be focusing on sexual acts, because maybe a person who is gay, etc.,
right,
can be in love or something. It's not always about, sexual activity,
sure.
per se. But this is a conversation that's evolving, and I think it would be wrong for any other country to impose their laws on the sovereign nation of Ghana if Ghana is not ready. But if Ghana is ready to have that conversation and the dialogue evolves, it will take the LGBT community to push that. It will take different people in society to push that. And it would have to be accepted in general. So we'll see how that discussion evolves.
Very well. So finally, I'm going to ask you, what do you think would rather help? Would it be detrimental or beneficial to accept or reject these persons?
To reject them.
What would you say? Would it be beneficial or detrimental to accept or reject persons within the society?
It would be detrimental because
detrimental to
it would be detrimental to society.
Okay.
Because such persons would perhaps not change, but just hide. And anybody who hides who they are hurts society. Because, again, like I said, they could go and marry somebody and then be living a double life.
Right.
Or they could be frustrated and then bringing it out in different ways. So freedom is something that is always earned. You know what I mean? And this might be the time for the LGBT community to push their agenda. But I really do think, again, back to the point, it really isn't always about, you know, sexual activity. Perhaps people just identify more with other people, you know, and they just want a platform to be there with those people who think like them. This is what I mean?
Yeah.
So this conversation will evolve, but I do think it would be wrong to impose complete acceptance if society is not ready for it yet. It's a conversation that evolves eventually.
Very well. I wish to let you go, but there is this one question lingering in my mind. Should persons' sexual orientation or sexuality, that is how a person has sex, be of a concern to the nation?
I don't know. I just think such matters are quite private. You know, I think that's why people have private lives. And, you know, again, it's civil rights, with the civil rights movement. This is a conversation that happened when whites and blacks wanted to marry, for instance, in the United States. You know, people came out with pamphlets to show that, or to say that, you know, our heads, black people's heads are different and they're different, so they can't marry, and et cetera, et cetera. So discrimination has always been there, and it is for that LGBT community to fight for their rights should they choose to. But I really just think that people going into people's bedrooms perhaps is not the best thing.
Very well.
It's a private choice.
Very well, very well. Well, Ms. Clinton, we're very grateful for your time this evening.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Ms. Amand Akwoko Clinton. She's a lawyer, a human rights lawyer for that matter. She's also shared her opinion. I brought you a conversation with a minister of the Christian faith. I've brought you a conversation with a human rights lawyer. Now, she thinks that what people do in private, especially in their sexual life, shouldn't be a matter of concern. I don't know what you think. I will cross over to speak to Mr. Richard Fisher, the Deputy Director for the LGBT rights in Ghana. If we have him, let's quickly have that conversation. Mr. Fisher, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Well, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
Having this conversation about the LGBT society. Now, the community has been in the airways for these few days. And as a deputy director of the society, LGBT Rights Ghana, how do you feel that, you know, your society is in the airways? Do you feel worried? Do you feel pensive? How do you feel?
It's a mixed feeling right now because from our end, we think that it is long overdue that this conversation has to be had. Like, we have to have this conversation for a long time now. when we look at this conversation being on the airwaves, we are able to explain to Ghanaians what it is to be an LGBT person. Some people think just if you dress like a lady or you have a feminine mannerism or you are a cross-dresser or a guy who dresses like a lady, that's a gay, and they have the right to beat those people. We feel that there is a lot about the community that the general public should know. If you think that you so much hate LGBT people and you want to beat them, the next person you would want to beat is the brother in your family, your pastor in the church, your lawyer that defends you in court, or your nurse in the hospital, because they might be LGBT persons without an identification on their forehead. So we think that there are a lot of things we need to tell the general community, and it's a very good thing that we are having this conversation at this time. At the other end, we also feel threatened for the life-threatening situation for the vulnerable group. That is, the entire LGBT community is a vulnerable group or the minority, but then there are other individual things like the transgender, like the masculine ladies or the feminine guys. They are at risk because of those misconceptions that if you are just effeminate, then you are a gay. So people might attack them. Probably you might attack the wrong person, because I know of people who are also effeminate, but they are not gay. One Love Footballer's father is effeminate. He behaves like a woman, but he has children. So there is a lot of information we need to put out there for the general community to know. So it's a mixed feeling right now.
So what is the information, the detail, or perhaps not? Let's spare the detail. What is the essence? What is the spirit of that information you want the public to understand?
We want the public to understand that LGBT people are not aliens. We have lived from the time immemorial. The very first time human being existed, LGBT people were there. Because if you look at records, there have been documents of homosexual activities from history. So you cannot eradicate the fact that when people say the LGBT is not part of our culture, I don't know which culture they are talking about. If these people existed centuries, when your great-grandfathers were living, how come they were not part of the culture as they were living? You cannot eradicate them or you cannot erase them from the story, except that you don't want to tell it. But we know it is there. They have existed. So we are telling them that we are people, we are ordinary Ghanaian people that live. So we should be allowed to live. It doesn't matter when you talk of LGBT people, the first thing that comes into your mind shouldn't be sex. When I think of a street person, I don't think of sex. I think of a human being who is a banker, who is a journalist, who has capabilities, who can do something. So I don't think about their sex, and I don't think about their penis and their vagina. But when street people think of gay people, all they think about is their vagina and their penis, how they are having sex. And that is a wrong conversation to have. So we want the general public to know that if you talk about us, no one is pushing out for legalization now. You know, I always say that civilization is something that you cannot take away. When civilization gets to your doorstep, you will process. The other developed countries that have accepted this have done a lot of research, and they have a clear understanding that it is part of human nature. So they have accepted it. If we think that we haven't accepted it so far and think that, I heard a Reverend, one of the Roman bishops saying that on an interview that homosexuality is sickness or it's a psychological problem. The World Health Organization has removed it from their charter as it being a psychological issue, through which information on which scientific research they are able to stand on to say that it's a sickness. So it is this conversation we want to have. If we do not understand these things, we should be able to find out, because some years back, I remember in my hometown, if you are an albino, you will be killed.
Right.
If they think if you being an albino is an abomination, We were just recently talking about women who are being killed because they are perceived to be witches. And everybody is talking about it is not good. We had experienced the troposis system, the female genital mutilation. What happened now? Through scientific research, we have realized that all these things are things that are inhumane and it affects humans psychologically. So we shouldn't practice it. So if at the time we are discussing LGBT issues, we should be able to open the conversation and have it on the basis of scientific evidence and not just religious perspective and religious belief. If you listen to the entire argument, people are just trying to put their religious ideologies on other people. We live in a country that is a secular country. Every religion is accepted here. So your belief ends at your doorstep or ends with you. It doesn't extend to me. If your
Okay,
Bible
Richard.
tells you that it's the same, it's the same to you.
Right, Richard. I want to ask you this: do you believe in religion? Hello, Richard.
I'm listening, please.
Do you believe in religion?
Yes, I believe in religion.
Which religion do you specifically belong to?
I am not a religious person.
Okay, so you find yourself in a society that is entirely unfriendly to what you stand for. How are you managing living within such a society? You mentioned that some other advanced countries have accepted LGBT. Do you think that you may want to move into these countries? Do you think that you may want to advocate for the country to accept? You said that you are not fighting for the country to amend its laws.
For when it comes to amendments of the Constitution, like I said, when we get to the bridge, we will cross. And when civilization gets to your doorstep, it will swallow you up. So when we get to the time that we have to have a discussion about legalization in Parliament, nobody would have to force it. The time will come. But now, what we are discussing is that LGBT people are human beings. They have equal rights as Ghanaians, just like any other Ghanaian. So nobody should have the right or the audacity with such an impunity to just perceive that someone walking on the street because of their mannerism, or I suspect that this person is a homosexual, so let me monitor the person and beat the person up or harm the person in any form or in any way, or disrespect the person in public because I perceive them to be that.
Well,
so we do not think that anybody wants to go away from anywhere, but we will hold on to the advocacy. We have had a lot of things with all the previous things I mentioned. It was through advocacy that we were able to realize that they are inhuman. So we are hoping that the community will listen to us and then we can have this dialogue in a more appropriate way.
Okay, so Richard, I spoke to Madame Amanda Clinton. She's a human rights lawyer. She says that it would rest with the LGBT rights Ghana society to advocate for their rights, to advocate for their acceptance. Now, to what extent is the LGBT rights Ghana advocating? Do you have, in fact, I've spoken to Alex, who is the president of the LGBT Ghana. I spoke to Mohammed. I've spoken to you as well. Now, you have this Rights Ghana Association that is championing the rights of LGBT persons in the country. However, some are of the view that if you have a few prominent people who are leading the advocacy, perhaps it may go a bit further. Do you have such support? Do you have prominent people who are advocating for you?
So, LGBT rights advocacy as a human rights advocate has been a long time saying that a lot of people have been engaging in it. So this is not the first time we are hearing it in the airways that people are advocating about LGBT rights, or lawyers who are even heterosexuals are advocating about it. I recently realized that even there were a lot of people in the 1991 thereabout that were also advocating about the LGBT rights. But as it stands now, it is a few Ghanaians, indigenous Ghanaians, who realize that there is a need for something to be done about this, because we keep getting information every day that this person has been beaten up, this person has been assaulted, this person has been done this. And when you seek a redress at the police station, sometimes it doesn't go well, because it is the same perception and the same attitude towards you. And we feel that if we are being abused and we cannot seek a redress as a Ghanaian, then it's about time we have this conversation publicly. So we have a couple of people, aside the LGBT rights Ghana directors, we have other organizations that are advocating on behalf of the LGBT rights. We have other human rights organizations. We have the Feminist and Humanist Association Ghana. We have other feminist associations that are advocating with us on the same LGBT human rights activism.
Very well. We wish you all the best in your activism. Now, finally, before you go, we understand that you have an office. We understand also that the president issued a directive for that office to be closed down. I don't know how true that is. Is your office closed down? Where is the office located?
You made me laugh. Do you think I'm going to tell you where the office is?
Why? Why wouldn't you tell me? Is it a harmful office?
No. It is open to LGBT people. The general Ghanaians are not LGBT people. We believe that every LGBT person that needs help in that office, or that will want to be in the office for the purpose of which it was open, knows where the office is. So it is not for me to put it out there to the general public.
Well, I won't push you further. I am thinking that if you mention perhaps those who may want to get in contact with you, perhaps some are suffering some form of stigma, some form of violation somehow. Like you said, the Ghanaian people are not LGBT people. I am thinking that perhaps you'll be opening your doors to people who would want to get closer to you. It would be part of the advocacy, wouldn't it?
Yes, we have our contact numbers open on our social media handle.
Okay.
And then other information we send out there. We have our contact there. So for now, we are communicating with people. You are not the first person to call us for an open interview. So I think our doors are open for the general public and also the media houses to have such a conversation with us. So it's good we are having this conversation. We haven't blocked ourselves from having conversation with the general public. I
get you. Well, Richard, due to time, this is where our conversation will have to come off. But we'll have some further conversations on the other side. Perhaps we may get to the bottom of some matters. Richard, we are grateful for your time.
Thank you very much.
Right. So that was Richard Fisher. He's the Deputy Director for the LGBT Society Ghana. What he thinks is that when you think about LGBT people, especially lesbians and gays, shouldn't think about their sexuality. He says that when they think about other persons, they don't think about their sexuality. They don't think about sex. So when you think about them, don't think about sex. I wish that I could have opened the phone lines for you, but my producer says that we have barely some 4 minutes to go. So I'll take you through a quick highlight of what the entire conversation was today. Today we spoke about the LGBT society in Ghana. It's unfortunate that Richard Fisher, who is the Deputy Director for LGBT Rights Ghana, wouldn't share the location of the office with us. But I don't know if there is a physical office or it's a virtual office, but far as he indicates, they have their numbers on the social media platforms. So whoever wants to have a conversation with them, their doors are opened. I also spoke to Miss Amanda Clinton, a human rights lawyer. She says that, yes, what people do sexually should be their private matter. She also says that it would take the LGBT society in Ghana to advocate the right. One interesting thing that she says is that it would be beneficial to us as a country if we would rather have a conversation with them and perhaps understand what they stand for. There are some persons who, by virtue or by no fault of theirs, find themselves in this sect that is stigmatized against. And I'm talking about transgender people. I'm talking about intersex, not transgender, intersex people. People who are born sometimes with both male and female genitalia. Once you will call hermaphrodites. It is of no fault of theirs. There are those who also do cross-dressing. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're lesbians or gays. I am of the human rights aspect, that whoever deserves to enjoy some freedom under the laws and constitution of Ghana should be allowed to. And what the constitution does not allow, let it stand. But what the constitution does not allow. I spoke to Reverend Emmanuel Barriga, the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. He also shared some religious aspects with us. And so if you're a Christian and you believe that such persons deserve some love, do give them love. If you also believe that Christ or God frowns against such persons, well, that is what the Bible says. This has been PM Ghana, and we've spoken to 3 people already on the show. It's unfortunate I couldn't open the phone lines. But I'll see you on Thursday with some further discussion. My name is Reginald Addy. Let me say a very good evening and a big thank you to my lovely producer Aisha Khalis Al-Hassan for making this show a possible one. I love you so much with your styles and steals. Stop jumping. A big thank you to you as well for watching all the way from your home and on Facebook. I'll see you on Thursday with some insightful and more interesting conversation. I am your humble servant, Reggie.
Fumo